Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. First item on this morning's agenda is the election of chairman. Could I have a nomination from the floor, please, with regards to the election of chairman?
Yes, I propose Councillor Flagg.
I second.
Thank you very much. Item 2, apologies. To receive any apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. We have apologies from Councillor Norman Decent. So Councillor Brian Dean is stepping up as the reserve member, and Councillor Kelty is here as the new reserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 3, declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest of the agenda items this morning? No. Thank you very much. Item 4, the review of premises licence for Polski Sklep 17 Lansdowne Road, BH1 1RZ, to consider an application by Dorset Police to review the premises licence relating to the prevention of crime and disorder. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'll deal with the housekeeping issue from the officer.
Thanks, Chairman. Just a few housekeeping issues. Please note this meeting is being audio recorded by the Council for the purposes of publishing on the Council website in due course. Please could I remind everyone to use their microphones when speaking. The meeting may also be audio recorded and or filmed for live or subsequent broadcast by members of the public, although the Chairman has ultimate discretion and may halt the recording or broadcast should he feel it's disrupting the proceedings. Please note that the meeting room is fitted with an induction loop for the benefit of hearing aid users. Hearing aids should be switched to the T position. There are no scheduled fire alarm exits, so if the alarm goes off, please leave through the emergency exit at the back of the room and assemble at the front of the building by the public toilets. Finally, please could mobile phones be turned off or switched to the silent setting for the duration of the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Could I ask attendees, I'm Councillor Flagg, and I'm joined this morning by Councillor Diana Butler and Councillor Dion. Would it be possible, just to mention that we've also have Councillor George Farquhar, who is the licensing vice chairman, who is here this morning just as an observer, but will not take part in the proceedings. Can I just ask if we could all introduce ourselves, please? Thank you.
I'm Sarah Rogers, Senior Licensing Officer, BCP Council.
My name's Chi Hui Sang. I'm the new owner of 17 Lansdowne Road.
I'm Sam Adele. I'm the previous owner of the 17 Lansdowne Road plus this clip.
Ella Louise Busfield, Licensing Officer, Dorset Police.
Gareth Gosling, Licensing Sergeant for Dorset Police.
Jill Hollyoak, Democratic Services. I'm ever so sorry I didn't catch your name.
So it's Chi Hui Sang, surname spelled T-S-A-N-G.
Thanks very much.
Mary Almeida, lawyer, advising the panel today.
Thank you very much. And just to run through this morning's procedure, the licensing officer will present the report. The applicant will make their application. Questions of the applicant by all parties, members of the committee and subcommittee to go first. Then responsible authorities and any other persons making their representations. Questions of the responsible authorities and other persons, members of the committee, subcommittee to go first. All parties will be given an opportunity to sum up, with the party who spoke last to go first. Subcommittee will then deliberate in private with the legal advisor and clerk present. The subcommittee will then return and the chair will announce the decision if appropriate, and a written decision notice will be issued following the hearing in accordance with the regulations. And finally, the legal advisor will advise parties of any right of appeal as appropriate. Okay? Could I ask...
Chair, can I just confirm that procedure is acceptable to all parties? Yeah, thank you.
Just one point before we move forward.
Yes, Chair, there are some late representations that have been made on behalf of the premises and in support of the premises licence holder. Would you be willing to accept those at this stage?
No. No.
Sorry, I've absolutely no knowledge whatsoever.
No. I believe their letters of support was entirely, if you
I've not had the chance to look at them,
No.
and I wouldn't be able to accept them having not looked at them.
Yeah, they did come in time though, Chair, so they were within time. Obviously, we can give everyone a chance to have a quick read if they need to.
We undergo a great deal of preparation in advance of hearings, and we have found ourselves here before. With regards to new information, it could easily have been served upon us in advance of the hearing. It hasn't been, and I don't think it's appropriate for us to be asked to try and answer that, because we would indeed be expected to answer it and to potentially scrutinise it as well, potentially using our systems and intelligence. It's not something we'll be able to do today.
Obviously, it's down to you eventually to decide. It did come in time, so some late information has come in from the police, which obviously...
I'm inclined to agree with you, Sergeant, because I didn't receive this via email, and there's no reason why I, as the chairman, couldn't have received this information via email prior to this morning's meeting. So I'm happy to agree with you for it not to be distributed.
Chairman, can I just clarify, that information from Mr Adil came in time, but I understand it's the nature of the information that he's presented, and it's being classed as a late representation, rather than additional information which the police have submitted to support what they've already put forward, and that's why it wasn't circulated in advance. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yes, you are.
So that's the difference between the information.
It needs to be served upon all parties in order for it to be served on time. That's what the guidance states.
And once again, I'm happy to agree with Sergeant Goslin that the information is not passed around this morning. Okay.
Just to refer to the regulations, they do state that information can be given prior to a hearing if all parties agree. So it's not that it's late, it's if all parties agree. So there's the police additional evidence came in after as well, and that's been distributed. It's whether you have had time to sit and read this and you agree to accept it. They're letters in support of the premises.
But I would just reconfirm what you said then was that all parties have to agree, and it's clear to me that the police who are present this morning will not accept that, and therefore I'm happy to move forward that it's not distributed to everybody.
Can I also clarify, in relation to the information that we've provided our information in advance of the hearing. You've had the opportunity to review it, as has the respondent, because we served it upon everybody in plenty of time in advance of the notice. The guidance is clear that it is in advance of the hearing. That could be 5 minutes before, but it's not during.
I mean, this information was also provided in advance of the hearing. It hasn't been circulated for the reasons that have been given by Jill, but it was supplied in time by the supporters of the applicant.
But once again, I come back to the point that was mentioned that all parties have to be in agreement, and it's clearly that the police in attendance this morning are not happy to accept that, so therefore we'll move forward without viewing that additional information. Could I ask the Senior Licensing Officer to introduce the item, please? Thank you.
Thank you. This application for review is made by Dorset Police under Section 51 of the Licensing Act on the grounds that they believe the premises are not upholding the Prevention of Crime and Disorder licensing objective. The review application was lodged following an intelligence-led visit to the premises by Dorset Police and HMRC, where they discovered the premises were involved in criminal activity of the storage and sale of smuggled alcohol. During the consultation period, smuggled tobacco. During the consultation period, a representation in support of the review was received by a nearby premises who claim that they have experienced significant damage as a business relying on sales of genuine tobacco to be sustainable. Since writing my report, I can confirm that the licence has now been transferred into the name of Mr. Sang, who is also now the name DPS. The premises have been renamed and proposed to open to trade as a Chinese supermarket. There appears to be no indication that the previous operators of the premises are involved in this new business. Members are reminded that any powers exercised by them must be necessary and appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and directed at the causes of concern which the application identifies once these have been established following this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do members have any questions at all for the licensing officer? No? In which case then, can I ask Sergeant Gosling to address the committee? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So I'll keep it short, if I may. This was an intelligence-led operation throughout Bournemouth and Poole, where we supported our colleagues from HMRC in tackling what is recognised by them to be a national problem. This is a problem with counterfeit, smuggled and otherwise duty-free tobacco being offered for sale, which undermines genuine business, it undermines the revenue, and it can affect people's health, because these products are genuinely offered for sale far cheaper than genuine duty-paid products. I think it really needs to be emphasised how much of a problem that this is nationally. And it is, we've demonstrated, a huge problem in Bournemouth. During that very short operation, we recovered over 200,000 cigarettes, which is a significant quantity removed from the streets by our colleagues from HMRC with the support of Dorset Police. So on the 14th of November, we did attend Polski Sklep and recovered 1,520 cigarettes that were identified by HMRC as being illicit. It is very, very clear in the guidance, as I've detailed in my original application, that this should be taken seriously. There should be consideration given to revocation, and whilst I accept that the premises has been transferred, I'd like to remind you that this is linked to the premises itself. This is an application linked to the premises. Now, if the new owner requires a new licence, then that can undergo the usual scrutiny. But at the time that we conducted this operation in November, this premises licence was being utilised, and it is, we recognise, a privilege to have an alcohol licence, and we feel that it was undermined significantly as a result of this activity that was taking place at Polski Sklep. So I would ask you to consider that. Obviously, you do have the issue of the transfer to contend with, but that's one respectfully for you to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Gosling. Mr. Busfield, I have you down to speak. Did you wish to address the committee? No, I didn't. No, thank you. Thank you. In which case, can I ask if members have any questions for the officer at all? No questions. Can I ask whether the existing premises licence holder and the new have any questions for Sergeant Gosling at all? Okay, thank you. In which case, the next person I have on my list to speak is Sam Adil. So would you like to address the committee, please?
Yeah, sorry, questions, or shall I just answer exactly the same questions, yeah? Okay, I'm a matter of the courtesy, I'm here. I mean, I've sold the shop to Mr. Chi. That's the fourth time I've seen him. The time they attend, it is true, it's an Eastern European shop. I've been DPS for nearly 10 years. I am pretty much sure my relation with Mr. Garrett, twice I've seen him, the twice I've been in really quite badly I've been, in the shop, and I went back to the police station for asking for information. And regardless, the cigarettes is an European shop. I did not know. I'm a big smoker. I did not know. Sometimes people coming back from Europe, they have a Eastern European. It wasn't like a bigger mountain. I even voluntarily, I said to the HM Revenues, 21 years in this country, I've never had even one police officer come and tell me, say, you've done something wrong in this country. I've worked all my life here. It was a really, really stressful day when 12 officers coming together into a shop. But believe it or not, I've been given voluntarily, I even told them exactly, even in the summertime, I've bought some cigarettes for personal users, and I gave them the names as well. And second time I bought it in the end of October and in November as well. Voluntarily, but I did not know this is going to be, if I knew it was illegal, I wasn't going to actually voluntarily, I would have mentioned the previous one as well. But truly, our shop, if I've got some documents here, but I know it's not going to be, if you check my reviews on the local community, our local community, how they really commenting on our shops and our customer service, they are white British, the Chinese, the Greek, the Polish restaurants, they all commenting. This came lately because I didn't know how to deal with this problem. But after when I went to Mr. Chi to get to my letters, they come up outside after a month. That was for me as a payday because I had really 3 robberies going through massive depression in that shop. I've got all the videos, everything on my phone. 3-4 time robberies, all I've been given, small reference, nobody come back to me. I had to work 11 to 13 hours in the morning, bakeries, 3 hours bakeries, physically, only mans can do that. In the night time, I had to go back to the shop, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, to check if the shop there's no robbery again. On the 28th of July, I had a massive robberies again in the shop. And that's where the time I was completely lost it. I couldn't be in the shop. So, I was out of my head. I was going through depression and anxiety. I don't want to use that as an excuse. I'm here. I made a mistake and I want to be charged because this is the kind of person who I am. But truly, this is the man I've never met 3 times in my life. He bought the shop 10 days after. First offer he made it, I just said, I want to go. He can confirm that. We've got that all in email, all in documents. What I've gone through through that 20 months, I brought up in Worcestershire, in a village. I'm a very easy man to track. My frustration right now is they send me a review with the people, really criminal. They have a money market. They deliberately doing this business, the cigarettes and stuff. My shop, it wasn't like that, but they trying to make it like it was a cigarette stuff. We're selling permanently cigarette. We wasn't. We were dilly shop. We were bakery dilly shop. We were closing by 8 o'clock, and they know that. They came in. The sign was there. My relationship in that shop. Even with my partner, 6 months. She was sleeping in the living room. She was sleeping in the bedroom. I was sleeping in the living room. That's how badly affected our life through this Brexit, this robberies. I was a big smoker. I'm still a big smoker. I smoke Vibe now. I smoke Vibe and a cigarette. At the time, if you need to check my report, medical report, in the past 6 months, please. You see, the doctor was telling me. By the way, I've always been paying my way. I'm not saying, but it is still wrong. If you check my last 6 months report, it will tell you exactly how the doctor always be advising me what not to do, what to do with my life, It's really terrible. And it's lately, I've been going through really depression and anxiety. I've been given anti-depression anxiety because of all this happened. I never knew anxiety, depression, what does they mean. I was a happy man till I came to Bournemouth. Believe it or not, my car never been robbed. I've been in the business 7 years and at GPS. I had the mayor in Penderford was drinking the pub. I'm sure between that 7 years, if I had an issue in Penderford, when I was DPS for Enterprising, one of the biggest company, they would be find out, they would be here going against me.
Okay, Mr. Adil, I think I've got the gist of that. Did members have any questions for Mr. Adil at all? Thank you.
Just a quick question on a personal question. Like, how many packs of cigarettes do you smoke in a day or a week? What's your habit, basically?
You might not believe it. If I saw this, you might not believe it. Some days I was trying to be on a vibe. Through these stressful days, I'm working the day in the mornings, every morning, because it's a man's job. I'm only the guy who was working there with the full staff.
Would you go through like a pack a day?
Sometimes 2 packs a day.
Sometimes 2 packs a day.
Sometimes 1 packet. Sometimes, vibe. I do a vibe through the shop because you can't go all the time, go outside the street, just go back up the road.
So the cigarettes that they found in your shop.
Pardon?
The cigarettes that they found in your shop.
Yeah.
There's about 76 packs for argument's sake.
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
It's from Lucas. I gave the right information. The guy, he's, my deal, they was under pressure that week, 10 days. It doesn't matter. I'm responsible for it. I'm taking responsibility.
You bought them from Lucas, basically. That's what
it's, he's a Polish guy, regular, and he had a van, and, I had the really messages. For me, it was really good days because the agency and the lawyers said, Sam, please, because they're Polish shop and I have to change it to the Chinese.
I'm understanding. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not a smoker, so I'm just trying to understand a little bit about it. So when Lucas sells you a pack of cigarettes, what does he sell them at?
Oh, no, not packet of cigarettes. Sometimes it's different prices. They were giving me
roughly, just give me a ballpark one.
Believe it or not, we wasn't making money out of it. I was smoking it. I don't like it.
That's not really my question. I'm just curious. Yeah. I want to know how much.
Some of them 45. He was showing me the receipt. This illegal coming from Europe, but it turned out in the end, when I told him, HM Revenue, please come, take responsibility for this. Okay. I gave a full detail to HM Revenue.
This question really is simple, though.
Yeah.
How much is a pack of cigarettes that are generally that Lucas would sell you? I mean,
some of them 45, some of them 50, some of them 50, some of them 55.
55?
55, 10 sleeve, yeah.
For a carton?
For 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that someone told me $13.50 for a pack of cigarettes today. Is that correct, roughly?
Sorry?
Retail? Roughly? Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all.
No problem.
I'm just trying to understand it.
Thank you, Councillor Dion. The legal officer has a question, I believe.
What steps have you taken to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
I mean, please. All I could say, I've been really, this statement would kill me. Reason why it was killing me. If you look at my history for the last 21 years, and you can see who I am, it's just called Penderford. It's called Enterprising, one of the biggest brewery in the country. It's my reputation, mostly I was worried about my reputation. I know it is wrong now. You would never see me like this again because of all my life, I was this side. All my life, I was that side where you're sitting down, believe it or not, because I know I was a DPS, how to put my life in danger, protecting children's, and there's my record, it's not lying. This is Eastern European was new for me. Even Sergeant Gareth, he asked it, one time he said, why the beers doesn't have the labels on it? I turned downstairs and said, look, there's a lot label, but this label, what's called the allergy ones. I didn't know. Even today, if you go to another Polish shops, believe it or not, they don't have it. Most of the people, they don't have it. But the statement's been made. Looks like,
okay. Would you be kind enough to turn your microphone on?
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you have a question? Sergeant Gosling, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Right. If there are no further questions, I have Mr. Sang, who also wishes to speak. Mr. Sang, please.
Hello, good morning there. Basically, I'm the new owner of the 17 Lansdowne Road. It's now a Chinese supermarket. I believe that time-wise, it was put on the market roughly July, August, but I put an offer down in August, which was accepted more or less straight away. It was the exchange happened, was getting organised, and we were planning to exchange mid to end of November. But then this investigation delayed it till December 13th, when we actually finally got the exchange. The main thing I would want to say is I've got another shop in Winton, which is also a Chinese supermarket, and I'm also the licence holder there. And I think the main issue is crime prevention for the licence, really. And the way my supermarket operates at the moment is not off licence, but it's mainly selling specialised things like sake, Chinese baijiu, or even in a spirit, it's specialised beer like Tsingtao or Singer. And those aren't really the cheap market for the beers. They're more like premium type alcohol. So in terms of the selling alcohol, it's always not intended for like the cheap, for cheap alcohol. It's always as a premium or specialised occasion. So in terms of crime prevention, I think that's that should be taken into consideration. It's not selling for like just cheap alcohol. It's specialised alcohol. At the moment, we operate at Channel 25, and given the Lansdowne area is mainly students, it's practically just, if we were to retain license and sell alcohol there, it would literally just be, ask all the students for ID, and that's pretty much what we've been doing nowadays at our Winton branch. Only thing I need to add is, basic timescale of it. I placed offer and was accepted in August, way before this happened, and obviously I would have no idea that anything other than any Polish was occurring at the time. Okay, and so that's all I've got to add, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Sang. So just to be clear then, that the alcohol that you sell in your supermarket in Winton, will it be the same in the new supermarket? Is it specialised alcohol?
Yeah, at the moment we've got we mainly sell sake and soju, like the Korean liquor. We also sell Tsingtao beer. That's the only beer we sell at the moment anyway, Tsingtao beer. We sell one type of solo cocktail, alcohol pop cocktail. It's a popular one in China, it's called Rio, but again, that is sold at premium price and not sold cheaply.
That's a Chinese. Okay. Sorry, that's a Chinese.
Chinese brand, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and they're all imported from our suppliers anyway. Okay.
Do members have any questions for Mr. Sang?
Yes, I had a question. So you're currently running the new shop, previously belonged to Mr. Adele.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
How much of your business is alcohol related then?
At the moment, numbers, I'm not selling any alcohol.
You're not selling
but
any
for the, from other shop in Winton, it's, to be a very small amount. My main sales comes from, people coming to buy actually Chinese goods rather than just coming in directly just to buy alcohol. If they do come in, it's like, they buy their groceries, condiments, groceries, snacks, and then they say, next to the till, they say, I can, have a bottle of sake or have a bottle of beer as well for the meal. Okay.
Thank you. The legal officer also has a question.
Do you sell cigarettes or any tobacco-related products?
None at all.
Thank you.
Do you have any further questions at all? Councillor Butler.
Yes, can I ask, at the present time, did you take on any of the stock from the previous shop?
No, one of the conditions for the sale was that I would not take any stock, mainly because it's a different market. Mr. Dill was selling Polish goods. I had to sell Chinese goods mainly.
Thank you very much. Another question from Councillor Dion.
So if you're not selling alcohol and no tobacco, then the licensing of the premises is immaterial to the conduct of business?
I'm not selling alcohol at the moment, but obviously with this review going ahead, I don't want to, I'm not too sure about the availability to sell alcohol at the time. And plus, I don't think the license has been transferred from Mr. Deal to myself yet. We're waiting after this hearing. But if the license is held and it's transferred to my name, then I'll probably start selling the same sort of alcohol as I do in my Winton shop. Okay.
Thank you.
I can confirm that I've got the licence here. It's been transferred because there was no objection from anybody, so it was transferred.
Thank you. Okay, right. I think we've more or less heard from everybody. Sorry, did you have any questions at all? Or are you happy to now sum up? Well, if there are no further questions, can I ask you to sum up then, please? Oh, sorry. Mr. Singh and Mr. Adil, is there anything else that you would like to address the committee with you may have forgotten in your presentation as summing up?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
I'd like to say something really. I mean, I'm really apologising because whatever we are all sitting down here, I'm the weakest one here, and it was never my intention. Whatever happens, I'm here. Even I'm not the owner, my lawyer. I wanted to be my lawyer to be here, but I couldn't afford it to be here. But what she told me is you don't have to be there because you sold the show. I said, no, I need to go because the statements, some of them, because if I didn't come, it makes me look, I come down here to declare it was not my intention. Whatever it was in there, I know that statement is there regarding this alcohol.
Okay, Mr. Adil, I think the committee understand. Okay. Yeah. Okay, can I call on Sergeant Gosling to sum up, please?
So it's in response, just a couple of points there. Obviously, I tried to remain as brief as I could in my initial, and I'll do the same now. It was touched upon there by Mr. Adil in relation to a couple of the other conditions that were identified as being breached during the visit. I haven't touched on them. You've read them, but just to be absolutely clear on them, there were conditions breached around the labelling and the products that were being offered, and in relation to the CCTV. One further point I'd like to make as well is in relation to the fact that, as you've heard, the purpose of the shop has changed. It's now changed to a Chinese supermarket, small Chinese supermarket. I draw your attention to condition 2.1, which, in my view, again gives further reason to consider that the existing licence is not fit for purpose for what it's being intended to be used for in the future. Again, I do feel that the existing licence has been undermined, and perhaps it might be a consideration of the committee for that condition to be revoked and perhaps a new licence that is fit for purpose for the new intention to be applied for, where due scrutiny can be given, especially given the objections received from the neighbouring business as well.
Thank you, Sergeant Gosling. Did members have any further questions at all? No. In which case, the committee will retire and return with our decision. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, having heard representation from the police, Mr. Adil, the previous licence holder, and Mr. Sang, the current licence holder, and having considered the relevant policy and legislation, the subcommittee has decided to suspend the current premises licence for 3 months to allow Mr. Sang to apply to vary the existing licence. The subcommittee was concerned by the problems that had occurred last year. However, note that the premises are now under new ownership. The licence has been transferred. The nature of the operation is significantly different to that of Mr. Adil, and Mr. Adil has no longer involvement with the business or licence. The reason that the licence has been suspended is that it does not reflect the current business under Mr. Sang and needs substantial amendment, in particular the areas where you'll be selling and advertising alcohol. Thank you very much. I think the legal officer will just advise parties with regards to the appeal.
There is a right to appeal the decision made by the panel today. That can be made to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days of written notification of the decision.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your attendance. Before you leave, sorry, the point was made by the officer with regards to if the variation of the licence was done within the 3 months. I'm sure that the committee would be happy for that to be, reinstated. Yeah, once the decision. Yeah.
So reinstated, subject to a variation be granted.
Yeah. Okay.
What date does the suspension start?
21 days from the end of the appeal, isn't it? Supposed to notice the hearing. 21.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sang. Good morning. I'm Councillor Flagg, elected chairman for this morning's meeting. The next item on the agenda is item 5, review of premises licence DNA Mini Market, 733 Christchurch Road, to consider an application by Dorset Police to review the premises licence relating to the prevention of crime and disorder. At this point, I would like to go around the table and ask those present at the table to please introduce themselves for the purpose of the record, and just to note that there is no representation from the licence holder, and that the committee need to just formally agree to hold the hearing in the absence of the licence holder. Are members happy with that? Thank you.
Sarah Rogers, Senior Licensing Officer, BCP Council.
Louise Busfield, Licensing Officer, Dorset Police.
Gareth Gosling, Licensing Sergeant, Dorset Police.
Jill Holyoake, Democratic Services.
Mary Almeida, Legal Advisor to the panel today.
And just for the purposes of the record, would you be able to just advise everybody the situation, please?
Yes, the Reg 20 deals with failures of party to attend the hearing. If a party has informed the authority they do not intend to attend or be represented at a hearing, then the hearing may proceed in his absence. If a party who has not so indicated fails to attend or be represented at a hearing, the authority may, where it considers it to be necessary in the public interest, adjourn the hearing to a specified date or hold the hearing in the party's absence. Where the authority holds the hearing in the absence of the party, the authority shall consider at the hearing the application, representation or notices made by that party, or where the authority adjourns the hearing to a specified date, it must forthwith notify the parties of the date, time and place to which the hearing has been adjourned.
Thank you very much. Can I ask the officer to introduce the item, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Application is made by Dorset Police for a review of the premises licence under Section 51 of the Licensing Act on the grounds that they believe the premises are not upholding the prevention of crime and disorder licensing objective. The application was lodged following the intelligence-led joint visits to the premises by Dorset Police and HMRC, where it was discovered at the premises they were involved in the criminal activity of the storage and sale of smuggled tobacco. There has not been any contact to the licensing authority from the licence holder since the review application was lodged, so I'm unable to advise of any updates from them. The necessary notice of hearing advising the licence holder of the date of today's hearing was sent on the 27th of November 2019. As before, members are reminded that any powers exercised by them must be necessary and appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and directed at the causes of concern which the application identifies once these have been established. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do members have any questions at all for the licensing officer? No. Okay. Can I ask Sergeant Gosling to address the committee then, please?
Good morning. Once again, I'll just reiterate the concern that we have with regards to the storage and sale of illicit cigarettes. So this is a national problem. Unfortunately, Dorset and in particular BCP area is not immune from that threat either. We've held a couple of days of action with our colleagues in HMRC, trading standards and other agencies, all designed to target premises that are offering for sale illicit cigarettes that are either counterfeit, duty-free, or otherwise causing harm to the community where, such as businesses and to indeed people's health. So in relation to this application, I'll ask you to cast your mind all the way back to 20th of June, when we first conducted our visit to this premises. 11,580 cigarettes and over 3 kilos of hand-rolling tobacco were discovered present at that premises. That led to a follow-up visit on the 14th of November, where a further 8,340 cigarettes and over 2 kilos of hand-rolling tobacco were discovered. I then need to just reiterate the Section 182 guidance at 11.27 in particular, which states that there is certain criminal activity that may arise in connection with licensed premises which should be treated particularly seriously. And these are the use of the licensed premises, in particular there's a number of different areas of significant concern which I think everybody would relate to as being serious, such as gang-related violence, unlawful gambling, any other sort of racist activity, or indeed immigration offences. But included in that is the sale and storage of smuggled tobacco and alcohol. And the committee are reminded at 11.28 that it's envisaged that licensing authorities, the police, the Home Office, immigration enforcement and other law enforcement agencies which are responsible authorities will use the review procedures effectively to deter such activities and crime. And where reviews arise and the licensing authority determines that the crime prevention objective is being undermined through the premises being used to further crimes, it's expected that revocation of the licence, even in the first instance, should be seriously considered. So this, in particular in relation to this premises, we've had 2 occasions now where almost 20,000 cigarettes have been seized from the premises. I'm not sure there is any explanation that could be given by the licence holder that would justify that. And I would therefore ask that due consideration be given to revocation of licence, albeit that's a decision for you.
Thank you, Sergeant Gosley. Do members have any questions at all? No. I have no questions either. So I think at this point the committee will retire and come back with its decision. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, having heard representation from the police and there being no representation from the premises licence holder, and having considered the relevant policy and legislation, in particular paragraphs 11.27 and 11.28 of the revised guidance issued under section 182 of the Licensing Act, the subcommittee has decided to revoke the premises licence with immediate effect on the grounds of undermining the prevention of crime and disorder licensing objective. The reasons for the decision being the fact that on 2 separate visits to the premises by the police, HMRC and trading standards resulted in a large seizure of illegal cigarettes and tobacco. 2, the sheer volume of the goods seized. And 3, the subcommittee has no confidence that this illegal activity will not happen again, as there have been no representations either in writing or in person from the premises licence holder. And I'd just like to ask our legal officer.
Yes, there is a right of appeal against a decision made today. That right of appeal needs to be exercised by application to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days of the written decision of today's hearing.
Thank you very much. Members, there being no further business to conduct, I declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance.